Political director Luke Warren, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Walter?
Well, I'm doing so because we're snowed in here in suburban Maryland outside of DC for the fourth day in a row. So much fun.
Yes. Yes, I'm snowed in DC as well, but glad to be with you here on Zoom.
So, Luke, it recently came out that some Doge bros had promised an unnamed third party that they could share Americans' personal Social Security data with that third party for the purpose of overturning election results. How do we feel about that?
Not good, Walter. I think that this is really exactly the type of behavior that scared so many of us coming to fruition. The big lie acolytes are now in the government, and we all know that there is no widespread election fraud in this country, but that is not going to stop Doge and Donald Trump's foot soldiers from trying to disenfranchise voters.
There's some theories now that Musk has left the government, but that while he was in the government and this huge data breach occurred, that they would like to create some sort of master database of Americans' personal Social Security data and maybe IRS data in order to affect elections and God knows what else. Is that what you've been hearing?
Yeah, we've seen in Minneapolis and in Minnesota, one of the demands that the Trump administration has made is turn over your voter rolls and we'll have ICE leave the city.
Hmm.
Plenty of Republican-led states have already turned over their voter rolls to the Trump administration, and they're trying to get it from the blue states. Basically, the fear being that when you've got the voter rolls and the Social Security Administration data, that gives you access and partisan information about, millions and millions of Americans. From there, the fear being that they'll try to harass and disenfranchise people who are, legally allowed to vote. Just a campaign of harassment against legal voters in order to disenfranchise them.
And now it may not be such a coincidence that Trump appointed Frank Bisignano, not only as Social Security Commissioner, but also as CEO of the IRS.
No, absolutely, because the IRS has a lot of data as well. And, I think that they're going to try to use that information to continue with their immigration purges.
You mentioned Minneapolis, Luke, and I've noted that on Capitol Hill, Republicans, or some Republicans anyway, seem to be interested in now working with Democrats or collaborating with Democrats on the spending bill for next fiscal year. And it has a lot to do with the fallout from the ICE crackdown in Minneapolis.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that's a very encouraging sign. Given how much sway Trump has had over Republicans and how in lockstep they have been with him, it really just goes to show that at the end of the day, they are individual actors on Capitol Hill and they are responding to their own political impulses and their own what's at stake for them.
This may or may not be related, Luke, but we recently found this graphic that we're going to put on the screen. It's the results of a recent survey that shows wide swings against Trump since the 2024 election in major demographic groups. But to our chagrin, seniors are one of the groups that seem not to have changed their opinion of him very much. Can you explain that?
Sure. The interesting thing about the New York Times Siena poll you're referring to is it shows the first time Trump voters in 2024 have boomeranged back to not liking him.
Mm-hmm.
So really, the story of the 2024 election was Trump made inroads to groups that historically had not voted for him. He's been on the ballot three times, which is one more time than most presidents get to be
Right,
on.
right.
So we have a bit of a nice data sample there. And it's interesting because in 2024, he got a bunch of first time votes amongst Hispanic men, young men, black men, really a lot of men, and
A
young
lot of men.
voters. Yeah. It's interesting because the senior demographic has been shifting Democratic in recent elections. He still won them. But so really, I think that the dramatic shifts against Trump come from people who have bought in for the first time. So they're kind of reverting back to where they've always been. So it makes sense to me that you would see less of a dramatic shift amongst seniors because their support levels have been pretty stable. The other thing I will note that's interesting is that in that Times poll, it found that seniors were the most economically content group, and all those other groups are dealing with inflation and economic uncertainty. So I think that that also gave them more of a reason to turn against Trump.
So they're having buyer's remorse, is what you're saying.
Yes. Yeah.
Or yeah, let's hope. Well, let's also hope that seniors come around to seeing that the Trump administration is not acting in their interests in many ways, which we talked about at the top of the show, but we don't have a lot of time to get into. So let me ask you real quick, Luke, because we're running out of time. It's now the 2026 election year. We have a political action committee. You are the head of it. What are our priorities for 2026?
Well, the number one priority is the House, given that the margin is so slim. And, historically, in a midterm election, the president's party will lose around 25 seats. So, right now, the margin, we just need to flip a handful to win it. Given past historic trends, I think that the House is very gettable. The Senate becomes more gettable every single day. We need to win 4 seats there. Unfortunately, most of them are in Trump won states. However, given his popularity falling, you're seeing those states become much more competitive. For example, Alaska just got a really great candidate, Mary Patola, who was a congresswoman. She's now running for Senate, and the senator there, Dan Sullivan, is just got horrific polls this week. Same thing with Susan Collins in Maine. That's a state that voted for Kamala Harris, but she's been an institution for a long time. She's got some pretty dreadful polls.
Well, we'll be continuing to interview candidates. And again, we're not a partisan organization per se. We're looking for candidates who wholeheartedly support Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, not just paying lip service to them, but actually favoring policies that strengthen and expand them. Am I right?
That's absolutely right. And please, any Republican, please sign on to these bills that make the wealthy pay their fair share and also improve benefits for working Americans. I'm begging anyone to join them.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Luke. We appreciate your time during this snowmageddon and good luck getting dug out, man.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, Walter.